What's your baseball philosophy? What got you so far?
Um, you know what? I think just growing up as a football player, it's just going hard every play and going all out, no matter what the situation. I think, in baseball you need to save some energy for, the whole season for sure. But it's still the same philosophy. I've got some breaks in between plays and then short bursts of energy and stuff like that. I think just playing as hard as I can and being aggressive, I think, is going to key.
Now, do you have one hitting philosophy against every pitcher, or do you approach them individually?
Well, I think there's certain guys that you have to make adjustments to. You definitely want to stay within yourself and stay within your program and your philosophy. But obviously he's the one throwing the ball, so sometimes you got to make adjustments for sure.
Now, baseball, they talk about first-round draft picks all the time. First-round draft picks have all the talent in the world, but once they start getting organizations, half of them are getting passed up by guys like in the 50th round. Why did that happen?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you saying how is there so many guys like in the late rounds getting to the big leagues?
Guys in the late round, the first-round draft picks, we talk about them so much.
Yeah.
And then once they get an organization, after a couple of years, sometimes they get passed up by guys drafted in the later rounds.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're a first rounder, you're naturally going to garner a lot of attention because I think there's a reason why first rounders get picked where they do. I think scouts think a lot of them. There's just that being said, there's a lot of guys in the late rounds that play their butts off and really learn the game and take it to heart and do well.
Now, every year, every team drafts more guys. They bring in free agents. They sign people to take your spot on the major league roster. How do you approach that at spring training?
Well, you can't control that, and that's the bottom line. You can't think about that. You can't spend time worrying about it because you can't control it. It's out of your control. And all you can control is you and how you play the game and what you do for your team and what you bring to the table. So I think that's really the only thing that matters.
Now, baseball has a lot of ups and downs and injuries and things like that, and up and down the organization, the big leagues and back. Has there been a time you wanted to give up baseball?
I've always loved baseball. I think my first year in pro ball was pretty tough. Just a big transition from college ball for sure. I think there was a time I was struggling. It wasn't so much like I wanted to give up. I did want to give up, but I knew that this is where God had me, and He had me here for a reason. I think that He helped me through it for sure, because that was a tough year. But I never seriously considered quitting.
And what got you through that? When it was at the worst pot?
A lot of prayer and a lot of help from my parents, a lot of help from my support group back home, just family and stuff like that. And seeing a lot of guys on this team actually that came out of college, we're in the same boat, and it was all new to us. We all came in at the same time, so we kind of leaned on each other too.
What are the kind of things that you learn about pro sports the hard way that nobody told you about?
That it's a business. That's the number one thing that you can't really be prepared for until you live it. And stuff happens that you don't do. And it's a business, and it's a lot about money, and it's a lot about contracts and stuff like that. The trades that happen and stuff like that. It's all about being a business. And another thing is just losing some new friends. To being released or being traded, stuff like that. It's stuff to prepare for, and you can't really grasp that until you experience it, for sure.
Now, once you sign a major league contract, you're a professional baseball player. But was there a time before that when it dawned on you that you're going to play in the major leagues or you're going to play professional baseball?
Well, I always thought in my heart that I would. I think that I had faith that I would, but when I got that call, for sure, it was pretty unbelievable.
Do you read the sports pages or Baseball America, or where they rank you in the everything?
I try to stay away from Baseball America and all the rankings and stuff like that. Yeah, I try to stay away from that.
Mom and Dad call you and say, "Hey, guess what? I read about you."
No, they're good about that. They know how that works.
Did that ever affect you when you were younger?
No, not really. I've always kind of tried to steer clear of that and control what I can control.
How do you handle the fans, loudmouth people screaming at you all the time?
That's a good question. I think some umpires get sad when the players dog them, but we have it too with the fans. So that's just the nature of baseball, and they're rooting on their team. I did the same thing when I was little. Maybe not using the foul language or bad mouthing different teams, but I would cheer for my team, cheer for my favorite players for sure. And so I think that just comes along with it, and you got to realize that if you want to play this game for a living, then you're gonna have to deal with it.
How about the umpires? How do you handle the umpires?
Again, it's tough to control. I think that's one of the most frustrating parts, is because they have a direct effect on your career, and that's been a struggle. I think, and I think it is for everybody that plays this game. You just have to try and realize that they're people too, and they make mistakes. It's just it's frustrating when they don't seem to realize it. It's part of it.
What would you tell a high school kid about professional baseball?
It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of stuff that we just talked about that you can't prepare for until you experience it. And so I think the best way to go into it is just control what you can control the controllable, and play with your heart and have fun. I think